Do you believe that just a pinch of salt, something that seems so harmless, could quietly determine the fate of your heart and thyroid, whether it's the sparkling pink Himalayan kind or the plain white salt you've always known? My name is Ethan Marshall. I'm a 60-year-old physician in the United States who has dedicated my entire career to healthcare. Today I want to begin with a truth that may surprise you. Many people believe that simply switching from regular table salt to Himalayan pink salt is enough to control blood pressure. But that belief is like repainting a house without ever repairing its crumbling foundation. If you're wondering whether that small change could truly transform your heart health, this is exactly where you need to pay attention. Before we dive deeper, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel, hit like and share this video, so I can keep creating reliable, clear, and practical health content that helps our community live stronger every day. Over the years in practice, I've noticed the same question coming up again and again in my office. Almost every patient asks, "Doctor, should I stop using regular salt and switch to Himalayan pink salt for my blood pressure?" On the surface, the question seems simple, but underneath it reflects a much bigger social trend where the attractive color of pink salt crystals and clever marketing have planted hope in patients that just changing the type of salt is enough to ease the burden on their hearts. I've seen patients walk in with bright, expectant eyes clutching jars of pink salt that cost many times more than table salt, convinced they had discovered a miracle solution. They believed that doing this alone could shield them from serious complications like heart attacks or strokes. But let's pause and ask, why are we so quick to believe that the color pink in salt could somehow change the course of something as complex as high blood pressure? The answer lies in human psychology, our search for safety in things that feel new and appealing. Himalayan pink salt is often marketed as natural and pure. Yet in reality, what patients truly need is not a new color on their plate, but a genuine shift in their lifestyle habits. That is why this question is not just a medical curiosity, but a cultural and psychological snapshot of our modern world, where people are more easily swayed by advertising and trends than by serious scientific evidence. I invite you to pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever believed that one small change like switching salt could somehow rescue your heart health? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world have held that same belief, and it's because of this misunderstanding that the same question keeps echoing through doctors' offices generation after generation. So when we talk about salt and blood pressure, we're not just talking about a seasoning. We're addressing one of the most deeply ingrained habits of daily life. Before we move forward, let me leave you with a question to consider. If you had to choose, which factor do you think matters more in controlling blood pressure? A. The type of salt you use. B. The total amount of salt you consume each day. Leave your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Himalayan pink salt has long been marketed as a healthier alternative, but when examined through the lens of science, its essence is not meaningfully different from ordinary table salt. Its main component is still sodium chloride, the very compound that modern medicine identifies as a direct factor in raising blood pressure when consumed beyond daily needs. The sodium content in pink salt is only about 15 to 20 milligrams lower per gram than table salt, a difference that carries no clinical significance given that the body's daily requirement is around 1,500 to 1,800 milligrams of sodium. In other words, if someone consumes too much salt, this tiny difference does nothing to help manage blood pressure. Notably, multiple international studies have shown that switching salt types does not lead to any significant improvement in cardiovascular health unless the total sodium intake is reduced below recommended levels. This is why leading health organizations, including the World Health Organization (WHO), consistently emphasize that the real goal is lowering overall sodium intake, not chasing after cosmetic variations. Another important angle is the economic issue. On the market, Himalayan pink salt is often priced 5 to 10 times higher than regular salt. Yet in terms of chemical composition and nutritional value, the added benefits it offers are negligible. This raises questions of practicality, especially for patients with hypertension, who may have limited financial means and would be better served by focusing on a scientifically sound diet rich in vegetables and low in processed foods. From a social perspective, the overvaluation of pink salt reflects a broader consumer trend of chasing trendy products rather than relying on scientific evidence. This is a clear example of what could be called a nutrition illusion, where consumers believe that a minor change in product type is enough to produce a major difference in health. Clinical reality demonstrates the opposite. Patients only see improvements in blood pressure when they actually reduce their overall salt intake, regardless of whether it comes from pink salt or table salt. In sum, a comprehensive analysis reveals that Himalayan pink salt does not offer superior value in controlling blood pressure compared to regular salt. Differences in color and price are not matched by differences in medical effectiveness, and this substitution, if not placed in the context of limiting total salt intake, simply results in higher costs without corresponding health benefits. This is the central takeaway from the scientific perspective. What truly matters is how much salt is consumed, not which type of salt is chosen. When it comes to managing blood pressure and protecting heart health, the critical factor is not whether someone chooses pink salt or white salt, but rather how much salt they consume on a daily basis. Current medical guidelines are clear for people with hypertension. Daily salt intake should be limited to less than 5 grams, which is under 1 teaspoon. Exceeding this threshold significantly increases the risk of high blood pressure, vascular damage, heart failure, and stroke. Another crucial distinction lies in iodine. Regular table salt is fortified with iodine to prevent goiter and other thyroid disorders, conditions that were once widespread in communities lacking this micronutrient. Himalayan pink salt, on the other hand, is not iodized. Therefore, if people completely replace regular salt with pink salt without finding another source of iodine, the risk of iodine deficiency rises sharply. This is especially concerning for children who need iodine for proper growth and brain development, and for pregnant women who must maintain stable thyroid function to support the healthy development of their babies. Clinical observations have documented cases where patients switched entirely to pink salt, believing it to be a healthier choice, but after prolonged use began experiencing fatigue, metabolic disturbances, and even enlarged thyroid glands caused by iodine deficiency. This is a clear demonstration that focusing only on a product's appearance while neglecting its essential nutritional role can lead to serious health consequences. Another common misconception is that pink salt is so safe it can be consumed more liberally than regular salt. This is completely incorrect. Any type of salt, when consumed beyond the recommended limits, raises the risks of hypertension and cardiovascular complications. The deciding factor is always the total sodium intake, not the type of salt. From a public health standpoint, iodine fortification in table salt has been proven to be one of the simplest and most effective interventions for preventing goiter. The World Health Organization has repeatedly affirmed this as a sustainable public health solution. Therefore, replacing regular iodized salt entirely with Himalayan pink salt eliminates this protective benefit and risks returning populations to the widespread iodine deficiency that existed before salt fortification programs were put in place. The lesson from this analysis is clear: controlling daily salt intake and ensuring adequate iodine are the true cornerstones of maintaining cardiovascular health and stable thyroid function, rather than believing that the color of salt can bring about any meaningful difference. In daily living, managing salt intake goes far beyond the idea of swapping one type of salt for another. What truly matters is building concrete habits that reduce the overall sodium load on the body. For those who enjoy the flavor or novelty of Himalayan pink salt, the reasonable approach is to use it sparingly as a flavor accent, while still keeping regular iodized salt in the diet to ensure adequate iodine intake. This way, variety and taste can be satisfied without exposing the body to hidden risks of micronutrient deficiency. The core principle, however, remains clear: sodium reduction overall. Medical studies have demonstrated that lowering daily salt consumption by just 1 gram can reduce systolic blood pressure by 2 to 3 millimeters of mercury. And when this pattern is sustained over time, the risk of cardiovascular complications such as stroke or heart failure is significantly reduced. This underscores how small, consistent dietary adjustments can translate into long-term health benefits. Another essential step is developing the habit of reading food labels. The majority of sodium we consume does not come from the pinch of salt added in cooking, but from hidden sources in processed foods, canned goods, pickles, sauces, snacks, and fast foods, all of which are typically high in sodium to boost flavor and extend shelf life. Effective sodium management therefore requires awareness and informed choices about these hidden contributors. From a practical standpoint, reducing salt should be done gradually so that the palate has time to adjust. This can be achieved by decreasing the amount of salt used in recipes and replacing it with natural seasonings such as lemon herbs, ginger, or garlic, which enhance flavor without increasing sodium levels. Preparing meals at home rather than relying heavily on industrially prepared foods is another crucial measure, since it allows full control over ingredients and seasonings, ensuring salt intake remains within recommended limits. Equally important is the routine monitoring of blood pressure. Keeping a log of measurements provides both patients and healthcare professionals with reliable data to make informed adjustments to diet, medication, and lifestyle. According to the World Health Organization, regular monitoring is one of the most effective preventive measures, as it allows early detection of abnormal trends and timely intervention to avert complications. Real-world evidence supports this. Individuals who combine mindful dietary control with consistent blood pressure monitoring experience more stable outcomes and lower hospitalization rates due to cardiovascular events. In summary, practical solutions for controlling salt in everyday life are not about choosing between pink salt or white salt, but about a broader strategy that includes gradually reducing added salt, carefully reading food labels, cutting back on processed foods using natural seasonings, and maintaining the habit of routine blood pressure checks. These small but deliberate steps provide a sustainable path to protecting cardiovascular health and preserving overall quality of life. The Philosophy of Eating to Heal by Professor Arnold Ehret offers a unique yet meaningful perspective on the role of salt in human health. According to his view, most diseases do not stem from a single factor, such as the type of salt consumed, but from the body being overloaded with accumulated waste over time, particularly the mucus produced when people eat too many processed foods, refined starches, and animal products. These substances weaken the body's ability to regulate itself, burdening the digestive and circulatory systems and making it difficult to maintain biological balance. When placed alongside modern scientific evidence, this idea resonates strongly. Both clinical medicine and Ehret's philosophy emphasize easing the body's burden rather than chasing cosmetic or superficial solutions. Simply switching from white salt to pink salt, if not accompanied by an overall change in diet and lifestyle, provides no lasting health benefit. What is truly needed is reducing total salt intake while prioritizing natural, minimally processed foods that support cleansing and self-restoration. In this way, Ehret's teaching adds philosophical depth to modern medical advice. Health is not the product of a single choice, but the result of many daily decisions working together. Epidemiological research has consistently shown that communities with simple lifestyles relying primarily on natural foods, like vegetables, fruits, nuts, and whole grains, have significantly lower rates of hypertension and heart disease compared to populations that consume large amounts of industrial foods and refined salt. This evidence strengthens the idea that sustainable health protection is not achieved by altering the appearance of ingredients, but by making conscious, holistic dietary choices. When we combine both perspectives, clinical medicine with its precise data on sodium and iodine, and Ehret's philosophy of purity and simplicity in eating, we gain a more complete picture. Protecting cardiovascular health and maintaining thyroid function requires careful control of daily salt intake, ensuring sufficient iodine through iodized salt or iodine-rich foods, and reducing the burden of processed products. Himalayan pink salt therefore can only serve as a flavor accent, not as a true solution to core health issues. The integrated conclusion is clear. lasting health is determined by daily habits and lifestyle choices, not by the color or name of the salt we use. Looking back at everything we have analyzed, the story of Himalayan pink salt and blood pressure reflects more than a seasoning debate. It reveals how modern society is often drawn to superficial choices rather than foundational ones. Science shows that pink salt is still sodium chloride with no clinically significant difference from regular salt. The small variance in sodium content does not meaningfully affect blood pressure. What matters is the total amount consumed each day. For people with hypertension, this means staying below 5 grams of salt daily. At the same time, regular table salt remains essential as a source of iodine to prevent goiter and thyroid disorders of protection pink salt lacks. Practical action in daily life is not about choosing one salt over another, but about gradually reducing salt in cooking, checking food labels carefully, limiting processed snacks and fast foods, and maintaining regular blood pressure monitoring. These are simple yet effective steps with long-term impact. Ehret's philosophy reinforces the modern message. True health does not lie in flashy or trendy choices, but in simplicity and consistency. Eating less salt, prioritizing fresh foods, and reducing processed products, that is the sustainable way to keep the body clean and protect the heart. When these ideas come together, one lesson stands out clearly. Health is built not on superficial swaps, but on the habits we repeat every day. Reducing salt appropriately, ensuring iodine intake, and choosing a natural, uncomplicated diet are the practical, lasting keys to protecting the heart, thyroid, and overall well-being. In today's life, anyone can begin by slowly adjusting their taste, cutting back on salt during cooking, substituting natural herbs and spices, and paying attention to hidden sodium in processed foods. These are concrete, achievable steps that bring lasting benefits. Here's a question for you. Which do you find harder to change in your daily eating habits? Cutting down on salt when cooking at home or avoiding processed foods altogether? Share your perspective in the comments so we can learn from one another. If you'd like a free gift ebook on healing nutrition, fill out the form in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and share this video so we can continue delivering valuable science-based health content for the community.